Hey, what's going on today? So in today's video, I'm going to talk about some things you can do, and most of these are really simple, but some things you can do to really boost your immunity, enhance your immune system, keep yourself healthy, help you avoid getting sick, whether it's from a virus, a bacterial infection, cancer, or just anything. If we want to stay healthy, if we want to live a long life free of disease and have a long health span, which means you get old and you maintain your health, then you have got to maintain your immune system. So just real quick, thanks so much for checking this out. If you're new to my channel, my name's Nathan Walz, and I help people look younger, feel younger, and I really teach how to optimize your health beyond diet and exercise. Diet and exercise are great. You should be eating healthy food. You should be exercising. However, there is a lot you can do that goes well beyond diet and exercise to really optimize your body's energy output by improving your mitochondrial health, by activating different genes that influence your longevity and have different anti-aging benefits. So I've got a lot of other videos that go into things like activating AMPK, sirtuins, NAD positive, and these are the real keys to living a long life, having abundant energy, and really performing at your best. So I will link a few of the other videos at some point in this video and at the end, but for today we're really going to focus on the immune system. So I got my notes here, and the first thing is really simple, and if you're watching this around the time of recording, we are heading towards the end of spring, heading into summer, which means the sun is getting stronger. And when I say the sun is getting stronger, the levels of UV radiation are increasing. And some people might tell you that's a bad thing. Certain kinds of doctors, say dermatologists, for example. But a lot of other doctors will tell you that it's a very good thing. And there's actually a research paper, I think it's a meta-analysis, where they look at a whole bunch of different research studies. But what they found is the higher there's a direct correlation between your vitamin D level and your risk of all-cause mortality, meaning all causes of death. So the higher your vitamin D level, the lower your risk of dying from anything. That doesn't mean you don't die, but that just reduces your risk of getting a disease, and that includes skin cancer. And something I'd like to point out is the state of Washington, which, if you're not from the United States, it's in the Pacific Northwest. It's considered a very rainy state, and it doesn't get a whole lot of sun, but of all 50 states, Washington State is at number 5 for skin cancer rates. So is it sun exposure causing skin cancer, or is it something else? We have evidence saying that it's something else, and I'm going to be talking about what that something else is in a few minutes. But right now we're really focused on sun. You really do want to optimize your exposure to the sun. So not only you increase your vitamin D, which plays a very important role in your immune system, it reduces inflammation. And inflammation, just a quick refresher, is the driver behind all chronic disease. And when you get sick, you have a whole lot of inflammation. So inflammation is good in the short term, but the problem is today, people are dealing with chronic inflammation, which means it's always there, it's ever present, it never turns off. Increasing your vitamin D levels is going to help you decrease inflammation. It improves your immunity. Not only that, but when you get sun exposure, the sun activates about 1,000 different genes which make different immune compounds. They activate your T cells, and a lot of your T cells, in fact, a majority of your T cells are in your skin. So when you take a vitamin D supplement, that doesn't activate those T cells in your skin. That will raise your vitamin D blood levels, but there's a whole lot of additional benefits you get from the sun. You help your body make more energy. So literally, those photons, those little particles of light coming from the sun, they go in your skin. That energy is transported to your mitochondria to make energy that the body can use. So there's all sorts of other benefits. Another benefit is UV light makes a whole bunch of different things. So one of those things is melatonin. Melatonin is very important for your circadian rhythm, but it's also a major antioxidant. So it reduces inflammation in the body. It's anti-cancer. It's anti-tumor. So in addition to making melatonin from UV light, you also make it from infrared light. So infrared light makes up 42% of the sun. And you have two kinds of melatonin. Both are very important. So you have circulating melatonin, which is released in the absence of light. So that's why you want to protect yourself, wear blue blocking glasses, cover up your skin at night, because if you get exposure to blue light, which I'm going to talk on a little bit more in a minute, that tells your body to stop releasing melatonin, which you need to get into a deep restorative sleep. All right? But you also make local melatonin. So the mitochondria, in addition to making ATP, they also make melatonin. And again, melatonin is anti-cancer, it's anti-tumor. The two leading cancers in this country, in the United States, for women, the top cancer is breast cancer. Guess what? Most women in the United States don't get their breasts in the sun. So ladies, you want to get your breasts in the sun. Men too, because men can also get breast cancer. But the number one cancer for men is prostate cancer. So when you get sun exposure to both of those places, you make local melatonin, which will reduce your risk of cancer. Now, one caution with sun, if you've been avoiding sun because you've been, listening to people trying to sell you sunscreen, or dermatologists that are just working off bad information, and you're making that switch, give yourself time to adapt to sun, meaning don't just go out in the sun all day and get a bad sunburn. Start off earlier in the day, and ideally you want to expose your full body to sunlight first thing in the morning, because that infrared light from the sun, that actually creates a natural SPF 15 in your body. And it preconditions your body for UVA light, which comes about 60-90 minutes after sunrise. UVA light, no sunglasses, because UVA light goes in your eyes, makes melatonin, but it also tells your body to release melanin, which is a natural sunscreen. And that preconditions you to receive UVB light, which is stronger than UVA. But that's what you use to make vitamin D. So start off slow. We're also going to talk about diet. If you've been eating a bad diet and you burn a lot, guess what? When you improve your diet, you won't burn as much. I used to burn quite a bit. My ex-wife used to always slather me with sunscreen every time we went to the beach or something. And growing up, I never really used sunscreen. I grew up in New York, but we would go down every year to see my grandparents in Florida. And I remember burning every time we went down to Florida, and that was like the one time I remember my parents putting sunscreen on me. But for the most part, where I grew up in my natural environment, where I was used to the sun, I didn't burn. I no longer use sunscreen. I haven't used it in years, except for on very rare occasions. And I can go down to Mexico without using sunscreen. So I have a very high tolerance for sun. I've worked up to that. I get very tan. I get very dark in the summertime. And I used to work a lot harder to be tan because I had sunscreen on and all this other stuff. But work your way up. Pay attention. Listen to your body. When your skin starts to get pink, if it starts to get painful, then get out of the sun. Put some clothes on. You can put a hat on over your head, something like that. And pay attention to pets. It's really interesting. My dog, he loves, especially on nicer days, he loves to run out and just sit in the sun. But when he's had enough sun, he'll move to the shade. So animals naturally just kind of listen to their body. Humans need to be reminded that you have internal detectors to help protect you from different things, from overdosing on the sun. So let's see here. Oh, something quick I want to share is there's a phone app called D-Minder. And D-Minder helps you to track your vitamin D levels. For me, I'm very competitive, so I just kind of track it against my own vitamin D. So I'm always increasing my vitamin D levels. But you input your skin type. They have like 5 different Fitzpatrick skin types. So from like white to black, and how easy you tan. But it will pick up your location, and then you just enter the amount of skin you have exposed, how cloudy it is. And if you're not sure, you can actually just take a picture of the clouds, and then it'll input that for you. But it'll kind of give you an estimation of how many international units of vitamin D that you're making. So that's available for iPhone and Android. It's very helpful. Now the flip side is really, and I've talked about this a lot, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but it's really helping yourself to mitigate blue light because you've got to maintain your circadian rhythm. That also plays a role in your immunity. And when you're up late at night watching TV on your screens under energy efficient light bulbs, the dominant part of that light spectrum is blue light, which tells your body to turn off melatonin. Remember, melatonin is anti-cancer. It's an antioxidant. It's very neuroprotective. So at night, you want to minimize your exposure to artificial light, especially blue light. Cover up, wear your blue blocking glasses, switch out your light bulbs to incandescent or halogen bulbs. At night, I have some red light bulbs I use if I'm going to be reading or something like that. And I use blackout curtains because outside of where I live, they have some really bright LED lights. So I black that out of my room so I can get a good, deep, restorative sleep. And the next one is actually sleep and circadian rhythm. So you want to maintain your circadian rhythm. One of the best ways to set that is every morning when you wake up, watch the sunrise. If you wake up before the sunrise, this time of year, like this morning for me, the sunrise was at like 5:28. And I wake up around 5 and it's still kind of light. It's light enough at 5 when I get up that I can see what I'm doing. But in the wintertime when I wake up, it's pitch black and it's several hours before the sun comes out. So instead of wearing my orange glasses, I'll usually wear my yellow glasses, which don't block as much blue light, but I can just see a little bit better and just do the stuff I have to do in the morning until the sun comes up. So you want the first blue light that really goes into your eye to be from the sun. And that sets your circadian rhythm, which controls your body's growth, metabolism, your hormone levels, and it also plays a very important role in your immunity. Now, sleep is also very important, and a lot of people are kind of looking for shortcuts around sleep. They think they can get away with just pounding Red Bulls or drinking excessive amounts of coffee and stuff like that. And there's no getting around poor sleep. I tried that for many, many years, and that was a major driver of me getting sick with all the symptoms I had from Lyme disease, feeling tired all the time, and it caught up with me. So if you're chincing yourself on sleep, it's not worth it. And once you get used to a quality night's sleep and you have a bad night's sleep, it's almost like kind of torture. Whereas before I kind of got used to not sleeping well. But sleep is very important for your immunity. It reduces inflammation, keeps your immune system healthy, and so many other benefits. Next, stress management. So we are living through very stressful times today. And, I'm sure if you go back in history, everyone has had extreme stress. There have been times where there's been major wars, there have been famines, there have been just people growing up with constant threats of violence. But today, for a lot of us, we had pretty easygoing lives for a lot of us. And this past year, a lot of people's lives have really been turned upside down. So there's been a lot of stressors that are new to us that we haven't dealt with before. I'm sure people are drinking a lot more, watching a lot more Netflix, and those are distractions. So you do want to be learning things that you can do that are very healthy for you to help you manage and relieve stress. So I've made a video on a very simple practice. It's called the letting go practice. It's from Dr. David Hawkins on really just helping you to dissolve stress. So I'll link that somewhere, but another very simple practice that I talk about a lot, there's a ton of research behind it, but it's just practicing gratitude. So giving thanks for the wonderful things in your life. And it can be something really big, like your significant other, your child, your pet, or it can be something like you saw a beautiful sunrise, or the sound of birds chirping, or you're walking and you smell flowers, or something like that. So in the morning, that's a major part of my morning routine, is practicing gratitude. But another good practice is to do real-time gratitude. So as you're going throughout your day and something good happens, take a moment to pause and express gratitude for that. When you're in a state of fear, when you are angry, when you're upset about something, you have compromised immunity. And if you look at what's going on with the media, they're constantly pushing all this fear porn. They want you in this fear state because they're trying to sell you stuff. When you're in a fear state, the other thing that happens is that affects your dopamine levels. When you have lower dopamine, you don't think as well. Something I didn't mention earlier when I was talking about the sun, UVA light, when that goes in your eye, that also makes dopamine. So it's going to help you think better. It's going to help you see through all the lies that we're being fed today. And one of your biggest jobs today is learning to decipher truth from propaganda, fact from fiction. Because we're being fed a lot of lies today. And every day new things are coming out. So I'm not even approaching conspiracy theory here, but just pay attention to what's being dished out. We had a lot of rain over the weekend, and I normally don't watch a lot of TV, but we were watching some TV shows, and there are a few shows that I like to watch, and almost every commercial it seems like 50% or more of commercials are on getting the jab. There's such a huge campaign trying to convince people to go out and get the jab, and this is for something with a 99.98% recovery rate. So if it was smallpox with like a 30% death rate, I'd probably be considering getting it myself. And I'm not trying to give you medical advice, but I just want you to make an informed decision. And it's just a full-blown propaganda campaign to convince everyone that they need to get this to be healthy. And there's no talk of these other things that you can do to boost your immune system. So a little rant there, but make sure you're doing something healthy to help you manage stress. Next, your nutritional health, or your nutrition and your gut health. So unhealthy foods like gluten, sugar, artificial foods with artificial sweeteners, colors, flavorings, processed foods, refined carbohydrates, GMOs, genetically modified organisms, things like corn, canola, soy, a lot of sugar beets. They're sprayed with an herbicide called glyphosate. Glyphosate is an antibiotic. It's antibacterial. So it kills, a lot of your immune system is in your gut, and your gut is comprised of thousands of different bacteria that do different things, that activate different genes in your body. And you have good bacteria that activate genes that promote longevity. And when you're eating these GMO foods, when you're eating sugar, basically just junk food, also trans fats, so hydrogenated oils, things like canola oil, soy oil, corn oil, any kind of vegetable oil, these things are wreaking havoc in your gut. They're also creating a lot of inflammation, and they have a very deleterious impact on your immunity. So you want to avoid these for the most part. I'm not perfect. I do eat some of these foods sometimes. Sometimes I get a craving for, I don't know, deep fried Twinkie or something if I'm at a carnival. It's been a while, but that's something I've eaten before. But my point is for a majority of the food, you do want to be eating healthy, local, ideally organic foods, fruits, vegetables. Actually, vegetables, fruits are lower, but healthy proteins, healthy fats. Bone broth is a great food for your gut health and for your immune health. What else do I have in here? Mushrooms. So mushrooms have a lot of immune modulating properties. Apple cider vinegar, very good for health, good to help you burn fat, good for metabolism. Olive oil is very good. There are thousands and thousands of different diets. The one diet that we have quite a bit of research that shows is very effective is the Mediterranean diet, which is high in healthy fats, healthy proteins, olive oil, low in refined carbs, things like that. Cruciferous vegetables. So they are very good for your immunity, and they are also very good for the bacteria in your gut. Seafood. Seafood is a good source of selenium, which is very good for the immune system. Zinc, DHA, which is very important for your cell membranes. Lemons and limes, good source of vitamin C, very low calorie. So in my water, the reason it's a little foggy is because I always put some fresh lemon juice or lime juice. Mostly lime juice, just because I prefer the taste of limes to lemons. But I buy mixed bags. Usually I'll buy like a whole bag of limes and then a mixed bag of lemons and limes. So, and sometimes for cooking, I'll use lemons over limes. But it just depends. But just go with what you like. Anytime you can give yourself a little extra boost of not just vitamin C, but other bioflavonoids, that is going to help with your immune system. Next, intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting, one of the things it activates is autophagy. Autophagy is repairing damage in your cells. It's also removing metabolic waste. So the cleaner your cells are, the more efficient they can make energy. And clean cells keep you young, dirty cells age you. So when your body is not doing autophagy on a regular basis, your cells are accumulating metabolic waste, and that drives aging. You get to a point where your cells aren't making any energy. They become senescent cells. Senescent cells are essentially zombie cells. They're alive, but they're not contributing to the ecosystem of your body. So when you do something like intermittent fasting, that activates autophagy, keeping your cells nice and clean, keeping you young. That helps to regenerate immune cells. And overall, intermittent fasting improves your immunity. It's also good for your gut health as well, which plays a very important role in your immunity. Oh, back to gut health. So something else I forgot to mention is 70% of your immune system is in your gut. And a big component of your immune system are macrophages. And just to get kind of general and for simplification of this video, there are basically two types of macrophages. There are inflammatory macrophages, which are a good thing. We want those inflammatory macrophages because if we get exposed to some kind of a pathogen, whether it's a virus, a bacteria, something like that, the immune system identifies that as not good, a pathogen, and these inflammatory macrophages, they're like a hit team. They go out, they find it, they take it out, they kill it. Then another kind of macrophage we have are anti-inflammatory macrophages. And they essentially go in and they clean up the mess. It's kind of like if you've ever seen Pulp Fiction. These guys, they accidentally kill somebody and they call up Harvey Keitel to come in and clean up the mess. He's the cleaner, the fixer guy. But to have a healthy immune system, we want a nice healthy balance of the bad guys, or not the bad guys, the inflammatory guys and the anti-inflammatory ones. And one of the things that happens with age is we get an abundance of the inflammatory macrophages and we get less and less of the anti-inflammatory macrophages. And that in itself is an internal source of inflammation in the body. So that's another reason we really want to maintain our gut health, so we can have that good balance of inflammatory and anti-inflammatory macrophages. So when we need the inflammation for a pathogen or infection, something like that, we have it, but then we can turn it off once the infection, once the pathogen is taken care of. And a very important way to do that is eating healthy proteins. You need different amino acids for your gut lining, but then also cruciferous vegetables, especially raw, which feed bifidobacteria, which makes butyrate, which is very important for your immunity. So make sure you're eating your veggies, especially raw veggies. Next, in intermittent fasting, I've talked about this a lot. Most people know what it is, but just in case you don't know what it is, an intermittent fast is anything between 12 and 24 hours. It may go up to 36 hours, but your body stores glucose as glycogen, and it stores about 12 hours worth of glycogen. So once you go through all your glycogen after 12 hours, then you start burning fat. But that turns on autophagy. It turns on these different processes. So not only are you burning fat so you can lose weight, but you're also helping your immunity, you're helping your cellular health, and a whole lot of other things. So if you've never done fasting, consider skipping either breakfast and just eating lunch and dinner, or skipping dinner and having breakfast and lunch. But dig into it. It's an amazing practice, super helpful, and it's a part of my ongoing routines. Next, exercise. So, and I'm not talking about getting a gym membership and going in the gym, but I'm just talking about movement, doing something that gets you huffing and puffing, as well as walking. So exercise is very great to move your lymph. Part of your immune system is the lymphatic system, which helps your body to clear out and drain different toxins and different things that you don't want in your body. So just going for a walk, that is a great way to help keep your lymph moving. But you also want to be doing, if you're able to, you want to be doing more intense exercise. Something I talk about a lot, that's one of my favorite routines, are sprints, and especially hill sprints. They completely kick your butt, they'll wipe you out, and you know when you've done a couple sets of hill sprints that you've worked out and you've really pushed yourself. But that activates these different genes, things like AMPK, sirtuins, that have a very positive impact on our longevity, but they also help to modulate our immune system. So exercising, doing things like walking, going for a hike, especially hike opposed to walking, you're still walking, but you're going over uneven terrain. Whereas like walking on a sidewalk, if you go throughout evolution, there wasn't a whole lot of just walking on a paved path. A lot of it was just going through woods and over rocks and things like that. So you do want to, in addition to just going for a walk, you want to do some hiking, going over uneven ground, things like that if you're able to. And then also doing things more intense. Some kind of sprints, some kind of high intensity interval training, and resistance training is also very good as well. But all these different things, they're going to help improve your immune system. They improve your circulation. You need circulation to not only transport nutrients to your cells, but to also remove metabolic waste and toxins from your cells that you're trying to get rid of. So do something every day that gets you huffing and puffing. Go for walks and do these things that get you outside, so you're killing two birds with, actually multiple birds with one stone. You are getting sun exposure. You're breathing fresh air. Most homes are very polluted, actually. So lots of times you're spending a majority of your time indoors. You're exposed to artificial light. You're breathing unhealthy air. So get outside, do some exercise, get natural sunlight, breathe in fresh air. That's also a great way to help manage stress. So a whole lot of benefits there. Next, almost done here. And this is not a comprehensive list. These are the low-hanging fruit. These are the things that I really focus on for me and for my clients. Next, cold and heat. So extreme cold, extreme heat. I tend to use more cold in the wintertime and then more heat in the summer. But both cold and heat create heat shock proteins, which also help to modulate the immune system. Both of them reduce inflammation. Heat, that helps you sweat. When you sweat, that's one of the simplest ways for your body to get rid of toxins. Also, heat exposure kills a lot of different pathogens as well. So lots of times when you get sick, you'll get a fever. That's your body's way of killing pathogens. So when you go in the sauna or on just a super hot day, you're raising you can raise your body temperature some, and lots of times it can be enough to kill different pathogens. One other thing, back to sun. So I talked about UVA light making melatonin, dopamine, serotonin, UVB light making vitamin D, but UVA and especially UVB light are antiviral. They'll kill viruses. It doesn't penetrate too deeply, but that is another way for you to kill viruses, kill bad bacteria you don't want. And in hospitals, they will use UVC light to sterilize operating rooms and different parts of the hospital. I actually bought one for water purification at the beginning of this whole this lockdown thing, but just to have in my back pocket in case there's a problem with the water. I've got a UVC light that will just basically sterilize water, kill any pathogens or bacteria in there, so it's safe to drink. Next, some vitamins and minerals that you want to make sure you're consuming on a regular basis. I mentioned this one, vitamin C. Most people know that vitamin C is good for the immune system. I will, if I feel something's coming on or if I feel a little bit run down, I will supplement vitamin C. But typically my way of getting vitamin C is just from fruits, vegetables, and lemon and lime in my water. Zinc, very good for the immune system. Different polyphenols. So polyphenols are the pigments in colorful fruits and vegetables. Very important one is turmeric. And turmeric and ginger have a great synergistic effect. They work very well together. Both are very good for the immune system. You can enhance absorption with black pepper, which contains bioperine, which helps your body to absorb more of that. Turmeric is also fat soluble. So if you do supplement turmeric, make sure you are taking it with food with some fat. Selenium is also good. So you can get your daily amount of selenium you need from 2 Brazil nuts. But seafood is another good source of selenium, good source of zinc, especially oysters. Pau d'arco, I recently did a video on pau d'arco, actually one of the compounds in pau d'arco, which is beta-lactone. But pau d'arco has a lot of, in beta-lactone, has a lot of positive benefits for immunity. It's antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. So that's a great supplement. And then quercetin is another one that's good. And quercetin actually, it acts as an ionophore for zinc, which means it transports more zinc across the cell membrane. It gets more zinc into the cell, so it can take out more, viruses, pathogens, whatever. So that's a really good combination of vitamin Z and quercetin. There are others as well. These are just some of my favorites. So if you're not doing, go down this list of what I did. Hopefully you took some notes, but I'll have some notes in the description below, just kind of an overview, and go through the list and just kind of take an inventory. Just kind of check off, okay, I'm doing this, I'm getting good sun exposure, but my sleep needs a little bit of work. So get to work on your sleep. Or maybe your sleep's pretty good, but during the day you're a total stress case. And you get home from work, or you finish your work day from your home office, whatever, and you see your kid or your significant other and they say something and you snap at them because you're so stressed out. That's a sign that you've got to do some stress management. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please ask below. And if you found this valuable, give it a like. And thanks for checking this out. This was a little bit of a long one. This is a little over a half hour. But here's the deal. I mean, this past year we are dealing with this whole CV issue. And I have a feeling, and other people I follow, they have the same feeling too, that there's going to be something else. And that next thing, it could be worse. I don't know. This is speculation on my part, but just the way things have been going, you want to be doing everything you can to keep your immunity really strong. And you don't want to have to depend on a fast-tracked V or some of these other things that are being pushed by institutions that don't have your best interest in mind. So thanks again, and I'll be back real soon with a new video.